All right, welcome on into this episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bringing you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we're going to take a look at Marin 35 out of California. This council was originally formed in 1923 as the merger of Mill Valley and Sausalito. Got a couple of patches to take a look at today, starting with the T1. So this is defined with its white border, pale light blue sky, white letters, dull brown bridge, and dull gold hills behind the bridge. You'll find that between the T1s and T2s, there's a variety of kind of clouds that you can end up seeing with this patch. This T1 happens to be a cloth back. But as is the case with many of the councils out of California, there were a variety of production runs because the councils were usually larger, had to service a lot of scouts. Here is another example of the T1. These were never separated into, A's and B's or anything like that for production runs. This one happens to be a thread run. We're missing a lot of the bridge. But if you compare, we have a very smooth twill on the first one here, and this is a much rougher grain twill on the second one. Obviously, you can see some differences in the thickness of the lettering. We get much thicker lettering, much thicker bridge. You can see one of the points that I always look to is this little connecting line here. It's very thin on this first one here, and we get much thicker stitching here on this. For what it's worth, if you look at the Gilwell First CSP reference site, this with this smaller stitch line does appear to be what they show as the very first. But again, when there's multiple production runs, there's not as much cataloging on the sequence for those. They're all just considered T1s. I do expect that this was just a thread run, so you could find these with the darker, rougher twill with the bridge intact. We just happen to have one that is a thread run, so it's missing some of the brown there in the middle. Just comparing the back, you can see that the second one is using a much darker brown thread. It's much more evident from the back side. But all in all, both of these would just be considered T1s. The T1s are differentiated from the T2s in that the T2s added the fleur-de-lis. The T2s had two variations, A and B, where the clouds appeared more similar to what we're seeing for this shaping in the T1, that was the T2A, and where you get this slightly different shaping, these were a T2B. There is also a difference in the size of fleur-de-lis. A 13 larger millimeter fleur-de-lis from top to bottom was going to be a T2A, and the smaller one, which you're seeing here on screen, is 11 millimeters, and that is indicative of a T2B. So this happens to be a representation of a T2B. You can see the darker bridge there. This is also plastic backed. We don't happen to have a T2A, but it's pretty easy to differentiate the T1s from the T2s because of the fleur-de-lis. So if you have no fleur-de-lis, you're looking at a T1, and as we've showed, there's a couple of different production runs at least that were created of that T1 for Marin Council. Well, that's the first issues there for Marin. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you know more about these issues or have other councils you'd like to request to see on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. Always appreciate everyone's contributions. We'll be back again tomorrow with another brand new episode. I want to thank you all for stopping in today and hope to see you tomorrow on our next episode.